Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. I hope you're having a decent day where you are. It started off nice here, now it's clouding over again. And it looks like we might get maybe some rain. I don't know if it'll be that or a little bit of snow, but whatever. But it's just the many phases of Maine in just one day. So I wanted to start, before I get into the politics stuff here, I wanted to start off with something here that was of interest to me this early morning when I was on Reddit there. The people were talking about it, and this is something that goes back 3 years now, okay? So I didn't know about this story until today. But in the state of Florida, this trooper did a head-on collision with a drunk driver to stop the drunk driver and protect a road race, a bunch of runners, I guess, or something like that. I got a couple of video clips here to show you how that went. So let's go to that, and then we'll continue here with this article itself. Yeah, pretty dramatic shit, to say the least, if not less. But anyway, she survived it, okay? She survived it. I mean, she got hurt pretty bad, but she survived it. So this article here that goes with this, and let me read that. And this happened on 2022, okay? And this is from police1.com by Michael Mulligan. Title: Florida trooper crashes head-on with drunk driver to protect road race. Palmetto, Florida. A woman crashed into a Florida Highway Patrol vehicle Sunday morning after failing to stop for multiple road closures signs in place for the Skyway 10,000 race, troopers said. Or 10K race, I say 1,000, but it was a Skyway 10K race. Christian K. Watts, 52, from Sarasota, was arrested on a charge of driving under the influence, resulting in serious injury after she drove into a portion of northbound Interstate 275 that was closed for the Skyway 10K race and crashed nearly head-on into a trooper's SUV, according to the Florida Highway Patrol. What do you mean nearly? It was a head-on. Watts was driving a 2011 BMW 335i North on Interstate 275 at a high rate of speed about 8:45 in the morning Sunday when she approached a road closure for the race and failed to detour onto US 41 as directed, troopers said. Instead, Watts drove through multiple traffic cones and other barricades with state officers present. Officers tried to pull over Watts, but she continued driving north, troopers said. Watts then came upon 2 Florida Fish and Wildlife officers guarding the northbound toll plaza and failed to stop. 2 Florida Highway Patrol troopers in separate vehicles drove south in the northbound lane to intercept Watts and protect the thousands of race participants still on foot on the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. Both patrol vehicles stopped. Within moments, Watts collided nearly head-on with one of them, a marked 2019 Chevy Tahoe. The Highway Patrol on Monday released dramatic dashcam video showing this crash. It caused serious injuries to Watts and the trooper behind the wheel of the Tahoe, Tony Shook. That's the trooper's name, who was 47 at that time. Watts and Shook were taken to nearby hospitals. Shook has worked for the Florida Highway Patrol for 26 years. The FHP acknowledged and expressed our appreciation to the many that have expressed their gratitude for the troopers' selfless actions, the Florida Highway Patrol said in a media release on Monday. Watts was also charged with 2 counts of driving under the influence, resulting in property damage, and 2 counts of reckless driving involving injury and property damage. Watts was taken to a Manatee County jail. Okay. Very brave, I would think, of her to do that, the trooper. I just have a problem with this, okay? And I realize this is 3 years later. Okay, you know, when they, that maneuver they call the pit maneuver, okay, where they come up behind a vehicle and they kind of slap the ass of it so the tail of it goes off and they end up rolling and rolling. Okay, if that's not executed perfectly, that can cause both vehicles to get into an accident, okay? And I kind of have a problem with this, with the pit maneuver as well, okay? For one reason. You don't know who's in that car that you're doing that to. There could be a baby in that fucking car and you're doing a pit maneuver. Okay? You just don't know. All you see is the head of the driver, and maybe there might be somebody in the passenger side, but who is in the back seat? Because you can't see, if there's a baby's chair there in the back or a child in there, okay? You know what I'm saying? You're taking a risk. Now, anyone that'll perform a pit maneuver and they find out a baby was in there and they died, guess what happens to the cop that executed that? He's going to get suspended, okay, and get in trouble, and the public sure as hell ain't going to like it either. What this lady did, okay, this cop, what she did, Tony Shook, in my opinion, was reckless, okay? It was reckless because when you're trying to stop somebody, I mean, I understand this car was heading for this, where these runners were, okay? I get that. They have so many ways that you can stop a vehicle. They could have put down a nail strip like they usually do. They could have done the pit maneuver, okay? They had more than one cop after this fucker, okay? And what does she do? She uses her vehicle as a torpedo, okay, and smashes head into it. Now, you saw the picture, the video. It wasn't a near hit-on. It was a head-on, okay? It was a fucking head-on. She deliberately aimed her car to the nose of that car to stop it, okay? Now, I could see how people are going to argue with me over the fact that, hey, she saved lives. Okay. But she didn't know every damn thing about this suspect. Okay? She didn't know if there was a baby in that car. She didn't know if hitting that car head on wouldn't simply launch the car into the air and land in the other lane where there might be other cars who could have got hit, bystanders, okay? You see where she was driving the wrong way down the road, which means there was other cars, okay, that were potential targets that car she hit probably could have veered into and caused a major fucking accident. All right, it was a gamble. It was a fucking gamble is what it was, okay? Now, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that she did this at the heat of the moment. Because cops usually won't do this, okay? So I'm going to say that, you know, maybe she let her emotions get carried away in this, and she just didn't want to, you know, let this guy or whoever, this lady who was driving this car, Kristen K. Watts, didn't want her to continue driving towards the race. And for some reason, you know, I mean, it just seemed to me like road rage kicked in or something. Because a person that is not thinking logically is thinking on emotion, okay? This was not a logical course of action. You know, it's not. And I think that it's more dangerous than not, because look, when you got two cars coming at each other, and I heard somebody say, oh, well, the cars today, they have a zone, a collapse zone that makes it safe. Okay, no. At the speed that these two cars came together, that zone doesn't even apply. Okay, you're talking lots of fucking metal, lots of flammable shit coming together at what, 60, 70 miles an hour? Okay, both cars. Okay, there could have been gas, a spark, an explosion, okay, and everybody could have got killed, okay? The cop as well as the person they were trying to stop. Would that have been worth it then? You know what I'm saying? And the fact that so many people, I mean, sure, they're applauding her for what she did only because of the outcome, but it could have easily gone the other way. It could have resulted in deaths that, you know, they never thought, you know, or they could have found out, you know, hey, you know, there was a baby in that car or something like that. Because look, they didn't know at the time they were chasing her if there was anybody else in that car. All right. And she just took it on herself to, you know, I'm going to stop him no matter what, you know, and just crazily went into this car at full speed. Okay. And you saw the impact. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, you saw everything that she had on this side of the vehicle just went right into the goddamn windshield. I mean, Christ, I mean, outrageous fucking maneuver there on her part, okay? Now, it's not like that this person driving the car was firing ammo and shooting at things, okay, to justify such a drastic kind of decision, okay? This person was drunk, yes. The car was heading towards a populated area, yes, okay? But did it justify doing what she did? Could they not have done something else? Could they not have radioed ahead and said, you know, set up a roadblock, okay? Put some cars on the road. I mean, rather that she crashes into the side of the police cars, okay, at least that way, I mean, it would damage the car enough where they'd have to stop, okay? And, you know, there would be no risk to the cops. It would just, you know, put the, you know, the car's nose to bumper, whatever, on the road. Okay, then she'd have had to have veered, if you see in the video, she would have had to have veered into the grass. Okay, that would have made it more difficult for her to continue on down that way. They could have got her on the other side. Okay, also, they could have shot at the tires, you know, or put a nail strip down somewhere in the front of it. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of things they could have done differently. Yeah, the pit maneuver was another option, okay? Still, like I said, whenever you're trying to wreck somebody off the road to stop them from racing, okay, you're running the risk that you're hoping that only the driver is in there and nobody else, or any, you know, any innocent people, okay? I mean, certainly if there was a hostage situation going on, okay, you wouldn't want to kill the hostage, all right? There's a lot to consider. It was a gamble. It was a fucking gamble, and she took the gamble and won, but we don't put cops out on the street to take gambles like that. Okay, yeah, we want them to protect and serve, but do so thinking, intelligently, okay? Plan your move. Think of the consequences, okay? Get, you know, the information you need. And I know this area down here, they could have followed this Kristen Watts from the air, a chopper. I know they got choppers down there. They could have followed her. She wouldn't have got very far anyway. So the idea that she needed to do this nose-to-nose collision here really, to me, seems like it was an overreach, you know, overreaction. Okay, but. You know, there was other ways they could have stopped that car. You know, a person that's drunk and driving isn't going to be thinking clearly, and they're not going to, you know, they're not going to fucking be alert enough to be able to avoid, you know, if a cop is going to try and force them off the road or something like that. They're, you know what I'm saying? It's just, and the fact that, I mean, that Kristen even survived this is another, I mean, like I said, you know, somebody was watching out for both of them that day when this happened, you know, and I think that was, I think that was reckless. I really do. And of course, I got a lot of shit for that on Reddit from everybody was bitching, saying, "Oh, what do you want to do?" Well, here was an idea I had, and nobody liked it. From now on, when they start making cars, put a device in the fucking engine that can be activated by a cruiser, a police officer, to shut the motor off. No more chasing cars down the fucking road anymore, right? Ain't that a good thing? No more risk to pedestrians. Okay? No more wrecks on the highway. You know, we have the technology to do that. We do. We have it. Otherwise, if people are happy that this cop did that, why don't we just arm the cruisers with guided missiles, for Christ's sake? I mean, if it doesn't matter, you know, who's in the vehicle ahead of them, you just want to stop the car, well, hell, it's all no holds barred, right? Just blow the fucking car off the road. Is that what we're going to do? Okay, is it going to be like RoboCop here or something? Jesus Christ. We got to have some fucking control over the highway. And the cops need to have that extra bit of control to stop these chases, because I've watched them a lot on the TV. You know, they got these live chases that happen out in California, and these chases can go on and on and on and on, and you wouldn't believe how long. Okay, and they got like 17 police cars chasing this one car, and a chopper and a media chopper, you know, following this car from the air, and they're still racing down the road, and it's like, well, somebody, you know, think ahead here. You know, it's like, well, nobody does. The chase goes on. You know, it's like, what is this? Are they doing this for the thrill or something? Is this the reason why they continue these chases? They're getting a fucking rise out of it? You know, I think a lot of times that's what it must be. Okay? And when you got 17 cruisers chasing one fucking car, you got 17 crimes being committed somewhere in the city that isn't being stopped. So, I go back to my idea about being able to remotely shut the engine off the car they're chasing. I don't see why that's such a bad idea, but everybody was saying, oh, you want to give the police control over your vehicle? It's like, well, when they get the lights on, you're supposed to pull over. A lot of people, they don't. They just think, oh, fuck you, and then they step on the gas and go. No. If the cop's going to pull you over because you got some, you know, driving erratically, or you got a tail light out, or you got something and you ain't stopping, hey, normally they would charge you, and you know, on that for not stopping when you were supposed to. So it's a crime, right? So to avoid that, and have this thing end up being a 70-mile chase through the streets of fucking Los Angeles or something, click, the motor shuts off. End of story. Okay? And then the worst thing, it could end up to a foot chase. Well, geez, golly gosh. Well, now the cop's going to have to work out and learn how to run fast. Okay? But I think that that's what they ought to do. They need to invent something for these cars so the cops can shut them down, and when people won't obey, to pull over. Okay, problem solved. All right, let's. I got a video here from. I can't remember now where the hell I got it. It's about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and anyway, she's running her mouth again. So let's go to that here. We'll talk about that on the other side.
You can protest all you want outside of departments of this government. You can protest all you want, but the American people disagree with you. You're protecting the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy is not a business. Those are not real jobs producing federal revenue. By the way, they're consuming taxpayer dollars. Those jobs are paid for by the American tax people who work real jobs, earn real income, pay federal taxes, and then pay these federal employees.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and prepare for mass firings. Yep, that's the order. This isn't speculation. This is a coordinated attack on the federal workforce, and it's already happening.
Federal employees do not deserve their jobs. Federal employees do not deserve their paychecks. And these are jobs that can be fired at will.
Marge the Trainwreck Green, proving once again that the GOP's goal isn't just dismantling the government. It's humiliating, demonizing, and outright destroying the very people who keep this country running. Her claim, federal workers don't deserve their jobs. Marge the Trainwreck Green is out here running her mouth about federal employees not deserving their jobs. Does she even realize that she's a federal employee? The answer is a resounding no, because self-awareness isn't exactly her strong suit. And if we're talking about paychecks people don't deserve, hers is right at the top of the list. The American people are done with this circus act. We're sick of the lies, the corruption, the grift, and the nonstop assault on working people. And make no mistakes about it, the reckoning is coming in 2026. Their excuses for screwing over the American people will not be tolerated. The people are watching, the people are pissed.
Prepare for large-scale firings. That is the order tonight from President Trump and Elon Musk. We are learning that the White House is now preparing a memo directing agencies to prepare for mass layoffs. And this memo also orders agencies to submit their, quote, reorganization plans within 2 weeks.
It's an outright attack on public servants. 1 in 3 federal employees is a veteran. The same patriotism-obsessed, flag-waving Green who claims to support veterans is now saying that they don't deserve a paycheck. That 3-toed jackaloon is not talking about bureaucrats pushing paper. She's talking about the people who run our air traffic control, our national security, social security offices, and the VA. Erin Burnett's panel wasted no time dismantling her nonsense.
It has been a miserable several weeks for these people. I mean, they've had their higher-ups be terminated or resign, often very publicly. They've had to justify their code to 20-year-old engineers who refuse to identify themselves by name. They have had no clarity in terms of who is actually the administrator of their agency. So it is not particularly surprising to see them now raise their hands and say, we're out the door.
They are boiling this frog too fast. It is clear to me that what is happening is all over the country, people who were not paying attention are now starting to pay attention. I had a plumber come to my house yesterday. He was walking. He's been to my house several times. He knows I do politics. We've never discussed politics. He was walking out of the house. He looked and saw Donald Trump on television, looked at me and said, this guy, and then walked out. Why is it that now he's paying attention and wants to engage me about politics? I think there's something about what's happening that's penetrating beyond just the Washington and New York elite circle.
And that's the real story here, the boiling frog con. For years, Republicans have tried to gut federal agencies quietly, slashing budgets here, defunding programs there, spreading the lie that government workers are lazy and overpaid. But this time, they're moving too fast, and people who never paid attention before are finally noticing. Jamal Simmons told a story about his plumber, a guy who never talked politics, never cared about D.C., but after seeing Donald Trump's latest moves on TV, he suddenly wanted to talk. Because this time, it's affecting real people. Flights are delayed and near misses are increasing because the FAA is losing workers. Veterans are waiting even longer for benefits because the VA is being gutted. Food stamp recipients in red states are getting cut off, and they are pissed. The boiling frog con doesn't work if the water heats up too fast, and that's exactly what's happening right now. Republicans are getting ripped apart in their own town halls because their constituents who thought that this would only hurt liberals are realizing that it's also hurting them. Musk, Trump, and Green don't care. They are pushing this forward at full speed because they know that if they don't destroy the federal government now, they might not ever get another chance. And that's why Marge the Trainwreck Green's words aren't just stupid, they're strategic. If they can convince enough people that federal workers are the enemy, then they can gut the government without resistance. But people are waking up. If enough people see through the con before they finish dismantling the system, it's game over for them. And that's exactly what we have to make happen. That's a fact. Elon Musk isn't fixing the system. He's rigging it so no one can investigate him. That's the real reason behind this takeover. It's not about efficiency. It's not about cutting waste. It's about protecting his empire and making sure that no one left to be able to hold him accountable. The FDA overseeing Neuralink, so it's getting gutted. The FAA overseeing SpaceX, so it's getting gutted. USAID investigating Starlink, so it's being dismantled. The CFPB regulating Tesla's financial arm and Musk's banking ambitions on X, so it's under attack. This isn't deregulation. This is corruption at the highest level. Musk is literally dismantling every agency that could investigate his own businesses, and Trump is handing him the keys to the federal government to do it. And while they loot the country, what are they actually cutting? Not billionaire tax breaks, not waste. They're cutting Medicare and Medicaid. They aren't touching corporate subsidies. They aren't touching defense contracts. They aren't cutting billionaires' tax loopholes. They're coming after working people. $880 billion is on the chopping block, and it's coming straight from healthcare programs that millions of people rely on. Medicare helps seniors in nursing homes. Medicaid helps people with Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, Down syndrome. These cuts aren't just cruel, they're a death sentence. And when that happens, people will absolutely take to the streets. That's what Donald Trump and Musk don't understand. They think that they can push people as far as they want, but there is a breaking point. Trump wants to play tough guy, but he is a draft-dodging coward. Musk is the same way. He fled South Africa to avoid military service. But now he gets to sit in Donald Trump's cabinet meetings, gut agencies, and act like he's running the country. And who is suffering? The same MAGA voters who thought that this wouldn't affect them. They thought that Donald Trump was only going to go after the libs. Now they're losing their food stamps, their VA benefits, their Medicaid. They thought Musk was some business genius, right? Yeah, now he's gutting the agencies that keep their food, water, and medication safe. They thought they were immune. Now they're waking up. Republican town halls are turning into war zones because people are realizing that they have been conned. They're watching their communities get stripped to the bone while billionaires get richer. And let me tell you, they're pissed. And the only question left is how much more are people willing to take before they fight back? We have to show up. Find your local party and reach out. Start organizing. Recruit candidates. Fight back. Because this isn't just another election. This isn't just about politics anymore. This is about survival. If we don't take back power, they will strip everything away from us. This is the biggest heist in American history. And if we don't stop them, there won't be anyone left to fight for us. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.
So federal workers don't deserve their pay. That's what she's saying. We don't want to pay them. Okay, fine. Then we won't pay you. Okay, you're a federal worker, MTG. You're a fucking federal worker, so we won't pay you anymore. How fast you think she'd drop that fucking job? Jesus Christ. I was confronted by a federal worker at the VA clinic who said, I didn't realize so many people hated us. And I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, the way Trump's going after the federal workers, okay, and the way he's stirring up hatred about us and so many people going along with it, I didn't realize there were that many people that hated us. I said, hey, I don't hate you. I said, and most of these people who are following what Trump says, okay, and hating the federal workers, they don't know all the ins and outs of what a federal worker does, okay? It covers a lot of things in this country. The only experience most people in this country have with federal workers is your DMV, your Social Security office, and your unemployment office, okay? And in all three of those things, people have to take a number and wait, and a lot of times the worker there isn't friendly, okay? They make fun of it on TV shows, okay? And it's just, That's all they know. But none of these people, they don't go to the VA clinics and get help from the federal workers who are doctors and therapists and specialists. You know what I'm saying? Those people, yeah, they deal with a lot of people, a lot of veterans and stuff like that. But they're nice, okay? They're helpful, and they do a lot of things for the veterans. So, like I said, most people, their experience with federal workers is very limited. They don't realize a lot of times that they're dealing with federal workers. But, you know, there's a stigma attached. And it goes back decades, okay? I mean, people always bitched about how, I gotta go to the goddamn IRS, or I gotta go down to the fucking, you know, DMV. Okay, nobody likes to go to these places, and they think it's a pain in the ass. They'd rather they didn't have to go to these places at all. Okay, but that's because they're not thinking why those offices are there. Okay, because they're trying to help you follow the law. Okay, and so if they weren't there, then where are you going to get your inspection? Where are you going to, you know, register your vehicle if they weren't there? Okay, think about it. And yeah, these people, they work long hours. They deal with all sorts of people, a lot of different attitudes. I see it because, you know, the last time I had to go to get my driver's license renewed, I had to sit there and wait. And, you know, the fucking customers can get pretty nasty. And, you know, they get up to the window when they start bitching. And, you know, and it's like, you know, you got a lot of balls to sit there and treat somebody who's here working and having to deal with all these people. And you go up there and you act like a Karen. And you're sitting here at the top of your lungs, you got a kid in one arm, and, you know, it's just aggravation city, okay? And it's only because people have no respect, you know, and they never did for those federal workers, okay? However, if any of them were veterans and they go to the VA clinic, they'd find that it's a whole different ballgame. Not all the federal workers are bad, okay? There's no reason why people should hate all of them, and there's no reason why Marjorie Taylor Greene should be using people's hatred for these divisions here in the federal workforce as a reason to shut down the whole fucking system. Okay, that's ridiculous. It's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, but that's as far as her intelligence will allow her to think. Okay, she doesn't understand half of what she says. I think most of the time she's either high on something or drunk. Okay, I think that's really her fucking problem. And I say, like, why does she get to act like this? Why does she get to say stupid shit with nobody calling her out, with nobody saying, you know, she's being disruptive and inappropriate and she should be sanctioned, she should, you know what I'm saying? Why do they let her run her mouth like that? She, you know, I think it would behoove Congress, you know, for them to just say, look, lady, you know, you got that fucking seat, but that doesn't give you the fucking license to come out here and disrupt the whole fucking system of how we do our jobs here. If you got something important to say, okay, fine. But if all you're going to do is get up there and say stupid shit like, oh, we should stop paying the okay, pick up your briefcase and your papers and get the fuck out of here. We don't want to hear it, okay? You're not here to start slinging mud to see what sticks to the wall. Okay, you know, and we're talking about making cuts in Medicaid, Social Security, the VA benefits, SNAP, the FDA, Department of Education, cutting all these things. Okay, just so we can collect $880 billion out of the budget to give to the fucking wealthy. Yeah, they need somebody like her to come out there and say stupid shit, which tells you something. That the idea that they have for the tax cuts for the wealthy is a stupid thing. Okay? If they need stupid people to cover their ass about it or to make the argument, then the whole idea of cutting that much money out of all these things that all of us need is a stupid thing to do. Jesus. You know? You know, I feel like, you know, at times, like I'm the only person on this world that has any fucking shred of a common sense here, okay? Because, I mean, granted, a lot of people don't follow the news as much as I do, okay? I get that. And a lot of people work, you know, all the time, okay? Long hours, many hours. I get that. And it's sad that it has to be that way, because I think that contributes a lot to why people make mistakes at the ballot box, okay? Because they don't know all the facts. And so what do? They say, well, this is a Democrat, that's a Republican, I'm just going to go with my party. They don't even know these two people. They don't even know what the hell they're running on, or what they talked about, or what they said, you know, because they don't have the time to follow the news that closely, you know. But the thing is that, you know, Republicans depend on that. They depend on people being aloof, you know, aloof or whatever, and not paying that close of attention. And so people are reduced to having to watch 5-second clips or, you know, 2-minute clips of something that was said, if they got the time to turn their phone on and look at it on, you know, on their cell phones. I really think that contributes a lot to it, okay? And you're going to get that a lot from the young people, because, hey, you know, their minds are not on fucking news. They're about, you know, what's the thing that's laughing, what's trending today, what's the viral stupid thing somebody did today, okay? Politics is too depressing, you know, for a lot of people, so they avoid it. But then when they make themselves available to voting, they're going to vote wrong. They're going to vote wrong, or they're going to vote with very little information and not really understanding what they did. That's why a lot of these people, after they voted in the last election, they go on the internet, find out what is a tariff, okay? And, oh, can I change my vote after I voted? You see? Those are the two big search requests on Google that showed up after the election. All right, so let's go to a commercial break and we'll come back with another video here.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Trump grabbed a crayon, said let's fix that line. Slapped on tariffs, claimed Canada's mine. Doug Ford's chuckling, cut their power, let them freeze. While we sip our Tim's, replying, buddy, please. 51st state, no way. Hey, 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 hey. Then we got Poutine, we'll be okay. Hey, 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 hey. Britney Spears, yeah, she's just fine. No, but Rita McNeil, she was divine. 51st state, no way. Elon's firing workers while Trump swings a club. Midas touch roast them, calling the snub. They tax our syrup, but we just don't care. We'll pour it thicker, let him despair. Doug pulled their whiskey off LCBO racks. Now it's hidden in his basement, stacked in the back. You want your bourbon? Well, here's the twist. He'll sell it back with a Ford Nation list. 51st state, no way. Hey, 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 hey. Then we got Poutine, we'll be okay. Just fine, but Rita McNeil, she was divine. 51st state, no way. Hey, hey. Justin's danced through shadows, learned from the past, while Quebec's still shouting, we ain't gonna last. But deep down we all agree, Trump's gone astray, so we'll just shake our heads and walk away. Your miles and inches just make us confused. We measure in meters, it's less to peruse. You ask if we live in igloos or what it takes. Just cause it's cold doesn't mean we skate to work on a lake. You got bald eagles, we got geese, and they're terrifying. Ours will chase you down the street, no peace. No peace, no peace. You race in NASCAR, we play hockey instead. Try taking our game, you'll be left in the snow with a face full of ice and a stick to your toe. Your beer's like water, ours packs a bite. Two of ours and you're done for the night. Terry Fox, Gretzky, and Celine's high notes. You got Kanye, that's all she wrote. Toronto's bragging, Vancouver's chill, and the rest of us just pay the bill. Keep your Starbucks, we'll stick with our Timmies. Roll up the rim and win more than pennies. 51st state, no way. Hey, 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 hey. We got poutine, we'll be okay. Hey, 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 hey. Britney Spears, yeah, she's just fine. Rita McNeil, she was divine. 51st state, no way. Hey, hey, hey. We'll fight with kindness, we'll win the day. Hey, hey, hey. Trade wars, terrorists, let them fade away. Hey, hey. We got northern lights and we're here to stay. We'd annex Florida before the USA. We'll fight with kindness, we'll win the day. Trade wars, tariffs, let them fade away. We got northern lights and we're here to stay. We don't explore, hey, hey, hey.
I can't get hard, not even with the blue pills. Will the salt trick work for me? All right, pay attention. If you're over 35 and not as firm as you should be, or if you're popping the champagne a little too early, I highly recommend the salt trick. In just 20 seconds, you can prepare this drink, and your anaconda will stand tall for hours almost immediately. This homemade salt tonic has been used for years by Brahmin bull breeders in India to help them stay firm and mate with up to 20 females at once. But a few years ago, this trick fell into the hands of the adult film industry, and since then, this little secret has been used by adult actors instead of the little blue pill. That's because it works in just minutes, flushing out flaccid toxins from your body that make your buddy shrink and fail when it matters most. It may sound crazy, but this drink is 6 times more powerful than any pill from the pharmacy, and because it's natural, it has no side effects. And if you haven't heard about it yet, it's the company behind the little blue pill, starting with P, that censors anyone who talks about this cheap, homemade solution. That way, they continue raking in billions every year from the suffering of millions of men just like you. But I'm putting an end to that right now. I'm releasing the short video that shows how to prepare and use the salt trick. Back then, this video was sold for $47, or they would have taken it down immediately. But so you can start the year off right. I'm leaving this video free for the next 3 hours. In the video, it shows step by step how to prepare this 20-second trick today and leave your wife with limp legs tonight. Just click the button that's appearing somewhere in this video to watch. If a page opens, it means the video is still available, and this might be your only chance to toss the little blue pill in the trash and learn how to make this homemade, safe recipe that's 6 times more powerful than the pharmacy pill. But I should warn you, this video contains some pretty hot scenes, and it also shows an African green tonic used by tribes in North Africa to grow their tool to the point of outgrowing all their underwear. Do not use if you're already too big or satisfied with your size, and also how to eliminate the flaccid toxins that are sabotaging your hardness and shrinking your little guy like a turtle. Watch with headphones on. As I mentioned, the video is uncensored and shows exactly how this trick works to make your buddy rock hard. So click the link below and watch while it's still available.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime. loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, welcome back. Alright, one more thing here about fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's calling for an end of FDA approval on the COVID vaccine. Go figure, huh? Crazy bitch. And, of course, the Democrats are outraged after Donald Trump's administration added Jeffrey Goldberg to that stupid thread there on war plans on Monday. And Doge suffers a major court loss for violating the Constitution. The federal judge found that the agency violated the Constitution in quote-unquote multiple ways. The case was involving the ransacking and shutting down of the U.S. Aid Department, something that the judge says neither Musk nor the administration itself have the constitutional authority to do, since it was established and funded by an act of Congress. And then JD dumbass Vance here is making fun of people who are protesting Social Security cuts as jobless losers. Says during a speech on Friday, Vice President Vance decided to mock people that were protesting outside of his event as jobless losers who aren't contributing to society. Gee, sounds like what Marjorie Taylor Greene's been saying, huh? People were protesting the looming cuts to Social Security that Elon Musk has been pushing for weeks, and Vance thought that people concerned about their retirement funds were ripe for mockery. He obviously didn't notice the irony of his statement as he was talking to a group of people who were also not at work. Oh boy. Yeah, and of course there's a lot more here. What was this say? Donald Trump and Musk confound Susan Collins' pledge to bring money to Maine. Says Susan Collins lost Maine hundreds of millions of dollars. The congressional earmarks would have funded affordable housing, health care services, youth education, road repair, community centers, and nutritional assistance. She voted to pass the GOP funding bill, erasing earmark funds, giving Trump and Musk unchecked power to block congressionally approved funds and making her position as appropriations chair obsolete. Susan's campaign pitch has long been that she'd bring home big money for Maine. Instead, she sided with the oligarchs, dismantling our country for profits. She doesn't represent normal people and never has. And Trump wants green card applicants already legally in the U.S. to hand over social media profiles so he can attack them. So, you know, anyway, that's a little bit of what's going on. Anyway, I got this video here from iHip Girls here. They're talking about how Donald Trump is desperately shutting down the courts, okay? They're getting too close to home here with him, and he don't like it. So let's go to that video here, and we'll discuss on the other side.
JD Vance's eyeliner is getting worse and worse. You guys, I'm telling you, we are at like the pre-smoky eye. So you may know that they were going to send Usha Vance to Greenland. Everybody hates America in Greenland. They want no part of being Americans. They don't want any part of this. J.D. Vance is hell-bent on trying to make this happen. He's using very provocative language abroad. And then at home, he's gaslighting the American public and saying, oh, Greenland can't wait to be a part of America. Meanwhile, he's doing all of this with this. I'm telling you guys, we have entered from just eyeliner. We know he wants to get to the smoky eye. Now we're in the pre-smoky eye. Play the clip.
It's J.D. Vance, the vice president. And there was so much excitement around Usha's visit to Greenland this Friday.
Okay, look at that. Look at that, you guys. I mean, this is the pre-smoky eye. I can even see a little bit of a wing here. He's taken the eyeliner out a little bit. I'm telling you, I think we're one news cycle away from this queen popping a full-blown smoky eye. And I just want to remind everybody, everything he's saying is total bullshit. All of it. Nobody's excited about Usha Vance or J.D. Vance going to Greenland. Fucking nobody is. All right, next up, we have complete religious fanatic, nut job, Speaker of the House, Moses Mike Johnson. And of course, he thinks he's such hot shit now. He thinks he can do away with the courts. Listen to this clip.
Authority over the federal courts, as you know. We can eliminate an entire district court. We have power funding over the courts and all these other things. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and Congress is going to act. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, the desperate time right now is that we have an unelected, un-American born, South African born drug addict named Elon Musk dismantling the United States government, rewarding himself contracts. The only reason that Elon Musk is a billionaire is because of American taxpayers. Desperate times call for desperate measures. If Mike Johnson were the big guy Christian that he says he is, he would be joining with the Democrats on impeachment proceedings right now. But he's not. He's a little puppet. He's a little puppet for Trump. This guy is the biggest crazy hypocrite in the United States government. He believes that he hears God speaking to him. And I just want to remind everybody that Moses Mike Johnson lives with this evangelical grifter who is rumored to be a closeted homosexual, who is funded by another crazy grifter out of Nashville. And the rumors all over Nashville is that this guy is a closeted homosexual. And this is who the Speaker of the House lives with in Washington, D.C. And we're supposed to let this guy dismantle the federal courts, the only thing that we have right now, keeping this whole thing from falling apart. It's insanity. But you would think that such a big Christian like Moses Mike Johnson, he would be all about family values. He'd be all about the kids because that's what Jesus would want him to do. And so you think that he would be very outspoken about this next headline. Florida considers bill to roll back child labor laws to fill jobs once held by undocumented migrants. So think about this. We are deporting our workforce, and there's going to be such a void for the work that Florida is going to put the kids to work. This is insanity. I mean, the one thing that I think I valued, or I tried to value about being American, was that at least maybe the progress was slow, but at least we were working towards expanding rights. We were working towards trying to make this place better. MAGA is completely wanting to send our country to the dark ages. It is insane. And most of these MAGA men are big, big Jesus guys. Okay, next up, we have the right-wingers are losing their mind. I mean, they are stage 5 meltdown over Jasmine Crockett. So Governor Abbott of Texas is handicapped and he's in a wheelchair. And a tree fell on him when he was younger and he sued for the injury and he received millions of dollars. And since then, he has put laws in place that would make it more difficult for victims of accidents like him to have recourse in the courts. And he also has voted to defund disabled children in schools. And everybody in Texas, whether you like it or not, calls him Governor Hot Wheels. That's what he's called. And Jasmine Crockett just called him that, and they're all losing their minds. Play the clip.
Because we in these hot ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about
Okay, so this is the comedy is legal now, guys. And what I have to say to all of you right wingers that don't like her picking on Greg Abbott, tough titties, tough titties. This is what you guys do all the time. We're done with always having to be the people that are always on the high road while every single one of you mold and bend and do moral and mental gymnastics so that you can please this grotesque, fat ass, bad makeup Donald Trump with his closeted homosexual vice president that pops a smoky eye, who went to Peter Thiel gay camp, and we're supposed to just always be perfect for you guys. She called him Governor Hot Wheels because that guy's a piece of shit. But let me tell you something. The difference between Abbott and Jasmine Crockett is this. Jasmine Crockett will always fight for disabled people. She will always fight for minorities. She will always fight for the LGBTQ plus people. She fights for everybody. Governor Abbott fights for no one except for Donald Trump and other rich Texans. He is a disgrace, and they are so rich about this because they all voted for the guy that did this. Play the clip.
Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember.
There's Trump making fun of a disabled reporter. So by your logic, MAGA, you're okay with this. You're okay with this. So spare me the faux outrage over Jasmine Crockett and quit holding people on the left to a standard that you yourself could never even get close to attaining. All right. Next up, Trump now wants to do reparations for the January 6th cop beaters. Play the clip.
I took care of them. I said I was going to, and I did. Is there any talk of, because they lost opportunity, they lost income, any kind of compensation fund? Well, there's talk about that. There are a lot of people talk about it. A lot of the people that are in government now talk about it because a lot of the people in government really like that group of people. They were patriots as far as I was concerned. I talk about them a lot. They were treated very unfairly. You know, the thing they show is they show a group of 1,000, whatever it may have been, 1,500 people down. What they don't show, you never see the crowd that day. It was the biggest crowd I've ever spoken before. It went all the way to the Washington Monument. It was so wide, you couldn't. Okay,
I can't take it anymore. So he wants to have reparations for all of these cop beaters, these hardened criminals that have that he's pardoned. And he's supposed to say he's law and order, and he's supposed to say he's a patriot. These are the people that helped him in his failed coup attempt, and why the American public, after all of this, would put him back in office is the most pathetic election results I've ever seen in my life, because most of the people that are going to get harmed from this man's policies are the very people in which he voted for. All right, next up, as we all know, Trump has a problem being a fair person. It's inherently not in his nature to be fair. He cannot shake the hand of anybody who beats him. He does not want anything to be equal. He wants everything to be rigged constantly. So what is he going after right now? He's going to go after elections. And this to me is so dangerous. And we have to really fight for this, because Trump's not a spring chicken. And if in this term, if he's not successful in trying to reorganize elections, some other nut will come in and pick up where he's left off, because they've built this massive propaganda complex on the right. And so many people are indoctrinated and completely brainwashed into this. So let's hear this. Let's put up this slide of what he's trying to do. It's an executive order written so poor and sloppily that it would bar voter registration to almost everyone without a passport. And that's 50 to 55% of the country. Birth certificates aren't listed. Real IDs won't work because people with green cards get them too. So there's a lot of Americans that never leave the country, never get a passport. And this is complete voter suppression. This is what the Republicans have dreamed about doing forever because gerrymandering has not been enough. This is the next step. And we all have to keep an eye on this because this is wildly dangerous and very, very anti-democratic. Last up, Trump is constantly marveling. He's in awe of the word groceries. And this has come up like 10, 12 different times. I've seen so many clips. And this is him yesterday talking about the word groceries. And I think it's because he's never had to buy them. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, raised by a multimillionaire. He inherited $450 million. This man, the idea of groceries, budgeting for groceries, going to the grocery store is something that's so foreign to him. And you can see this in the way that he speaks about the word groceries. Play the clip.
We brought eggs down at a level that nobody thought we could get at. I inherited that situation, and I inherited a grocery situation. The groceries went way up, an old-fashioned word, but it's a very descriptive word. Groceries have gone through the roof. And I used to campaign on it. I used to say, we're going to get groceries down, and we have got it down. I watched
an old-fashioned word. It's like maybe he heard his mother say that when he was little, that she had to go get groceries, but all of his adult life, he hasn't heard of it. And think about this. So many of his voters are getting hit so hard by this Trump-created and exacerbated inflation. And they're getting hit the most at the grocery store. And this guy doesn't even know what it is. He thinks it's an old-fashioned word. All right, guys, I am in Brazil. I'm heading home tomorrow, so I'll see you all tomorrow afternoon. Pumps will hit you guys up tomorrow, but please subscribe to our channel. We are trying to achieve 1 million viewers, and we'll see you all later.
At this point, I would say if Jesus ever set foot back on this planet, MAGA would have him deported. Okay, this is how stupid these people are. Okay, and the fact that, you know, Mike Johnson here is, you know, supposedly religious, okay, tells me that the evangelicals are the ones doing all this crap, and it's like their religious crusade, okay? But at the same time, you know, hey, there's a lot of, you know, some shady crap going on here with Mike Johnson's living accommodations here, okay? And it's funny how MAGA just seems to want to ignore that, okay? Because, you know, they're so dead set against homosexuality, but yet, you know, there's a possibility, you know, going around, and, you know, nobody's saying, let's find out for sure, okay? But, you know, if it was a Democrat, yeah, they would probe and probe and probe and get and have people, you know, go right into the fucking house and find out, you know. But no, not one of their own. They're not going to do that. Jesus. Did you know that Trump revoked the security clearance for Kamala Harris and Bill Clinton and a bunch of other people? How do you do that? How do you fucking do that? You know, every former president has always had security clearance to certain areas of the government, okay? You can't just take that away, you know, but that's what he did. Why? Was he trying to hide anyway? He doesn't want anyone to find out what he's up to? I mean, what the hell? I just find that very suspicious that he would do something like that, you know? And now you got the VA has this rescue effort to save veterans' homes, and they saved, I guess, it says 15,000 veterans from losing their homes, and now some in Congress want to scrap that. I don't know how many veterans out there knew this, but they want to end that fucking program. Okay? So much for, you know, thank you for your service, right? And I don't know. I feel like there's more to come, you know, when it comes to the veterans. And there's this story here, a girl named Yunseo Chung, 21-year-old, okay? She's a junior at Columbia University, and said that she was the person whom federal agents were after when they showed up at a residence on West 113th Street earlier this month, and she is now suing President Trump. federal immigration agents showed up at her apartment near the Columbia University campus on March the 13th, law enforcement sources say. However, she wasn't there. Chung, who has lived in the United States since she moved from South Korea at age 7 and had become a legal permanent resident, participated in demonstrations in defense of Palestinians in Gaza, and in her lawsuit accused Trump and other officials of, quote, attempting to use immigration enforcement as a bludgeon to suppress speech that they dislike, unquote, including hers. You see what I mean about fucking how, laws can be, they're not scalpels, but they can be used as bludgeons, okay? And that's what Trump's doing, okay? He may have told people that he wants to get rid of criminals, that, and illegal immigrants here who are criminals. But do you see now the articles are showing that he's not just going after illegal immigrants. He's going after people that have said things about him that he doesn't like, okay? And they went after her. She wasn't home, but she found out about it, and she's going to sue Trump. I don't know how far she's going to get with that, but I say good on her for trying, okay? Because honestly, if there's no pushback on what Trump's doing here, it's only going to get worse, okay? He's going to start using that ability to go after anybody, even the press, okay? I mean, he's already he barred some of the people in the press from even being at the White House to interview him, as it were, okay? Because all he wants to do is lie. He doesn't want anybody to fact check him while he's talking, okay? You don't want that, because it's embarrassing when somebody says, "Oh, wait a minute, that ain't true. That's not what happened." He don't want that, okay? Because his ego would be hurt. He's a big baby. It's like, when a kid tells a story and it's a lie and you tell him you've been lying, the kid's going to have a fit, right? Well, that's Trump. He ain't grown up, okay? He's still a fucking kid in his mind. He's a fucking 70-some-odd-year-old kid is what he is. And he wants to be able to tell people anything he wants, And people, they, in this world, folks don't have to listen to lies, but Trump wants people to just listen and never ask or say anything, okay? Not gonna happen. There's people that are going to fucking criticize him for anything that he does that's not right, and that's our right to be able to do that. I mean, how the hell are we supposed to have freedom of speech, if people are too afraid to say anything because of fear of government reprisals? All right. I mean, I understand that there's no guarantee that there would be some kind of reaction, but don't you think when the government is the one that's making retaliation against what you say, doesn't that look worse than just like somebody else coming up to you and saying, "Shut up, and stop talking"? It's worse when it's your own goddamn government that says you got the freedom of speech. They turn around and come after you, and it's not right. And that's why they went after her. It wasn't so much that, it was about immigration. It was just they used that as a shield to say, well, we didn't go after her for what she said. We went after her because we thought she was illegal and she's not supposed to be here, when she's already been a citizen here since she was 7 years old, for Christ's sake. Okay? So, like I said, there's a lot of lying going on in the Trump administration, a lot of fucking misdirection, a lot of excuses being made. Oh, we screwed up, okay, or something like that. But they have no intention of stopping what they're doing, none at all. They're just trying to keep the press at bay and keep the outrage of the public under control, is what they're doing. But how long do you think that's going to last? He still has 3.5 or 3, almost 4 more years to go here with this shit. And he's already up to his eyeballs here with people getting pissed at him. Do you really think he's going to be able to last that long? Okay? Especially when the midterms come around and hopefully the Democrats get control of the houses back. Because, frankly, I don't see that, Trump could really do as much if he doesn't have control of that. All right? Because everything would be kind of locked up, I suppose. But unless somebody can, enforce these laws that he's breaking with these executive orders he's been pissing out all day and all week and whatever, okay? And if the courts can't enforce the rulings that they say, you know, that this is illegal, that's illegal, if they can't enforce these rules, then they're just wasting their breath, right? I mean, look, I mean, if it was any of us that was under the same kind of problem here, the cops would be knocking on our doors saying, look, you know, you can't ignore us. You can't ignore the judge. This is what he said, and you gotta fucking obey. I mean, it was just like there was this thing with this lady here who was being a pain in the ass to somebody she was living with. This guy goes and files a restraining order against her to get her out of the house. Okay? So while he's at work, the cops show up, she's in the house, and they tell her, you got to go. You can't, you know, she's still there. She says, well, I'm not leaving. My stuff is here. He says, doesn't matter. You got to be out of here today. And so she's stonewalling. She gets on her phone and she's sitting here calling this one and that one, and she's sitting there talking on the phone, and the cop's standing there waiting for her to get her shit and get the hell out. And she ain't moving. So he goes in there. She starts to struggle. He zaps her with a fucking taser and drags her ass out into the car. Okay, you see, when a judge gives you a fucking order that you cannot be in that house, it has to be enforced. Okay, otherwise that fucking order means nothing. So, if Trump has been told that he can't do certain things and he's still doing it, you see what I'm saying? And so far, he's been breaking all kinds of laws, and he's got his press secretary bitching at the judges for interfering, like, oh, they're not supposed to say anything. They're a federal fucking judge, for Christ's sake. That's their damn jurisdiction. Of course they have a right to make a ruling on that. Okay? Jesus Christ. It's like saying, oh, the Supreme Court has no right to tell the president he can't do it. You know, fuck that. Any one of these fucking Trump lawyers, okay, if it was a Democrat in the fucking White House, would be screaming bloody murder right now. Because that Democrat president isn't listening to what a judge just said, okay? So don't give me the false fucking rage, okay? I know they're just making that up. Because if the tables were reversed, they would be pissed off just as I am now, okay? That's how it goes, hypocrisy. So Pam Bondi, okay, your phony hysteria, okay, just shut up. You know, you should be smarter than that. Christ. You've got probably not very much experience in the job you're doing, okay? I don't know what the hell. I mean, you look like a kid, for Christ's sake. You know, I can't imagine you really know what the hell you're doing. But to sit there and bitch at Democrats for, or a judge for doing his job, okay, by interpreting the Constitution, and you're shitting on him because of that, you're goddamn lucky the judge isn't going to go after you and have you disbarred. You know? Christ. I just feel like, you know, there a lot of stuff here wouldn't be going on if more people really got out there and started pushing their representatives to say, look, enough with this, you know, pussyfooting around, okay? You guys need to get aggressive. They're being aggressive. You can see it. We can see it. Everybody in the world can see it. Trump's being a prick, and he's being aggressive about it. So, in order to stop that, you got to be equally committed to stopping what he's doing, okay? So that means if this judge here is being attacked by Pam Bondi, you guys need to come out and defend that judge. You guys need to come out and defend that ruling. That's what you got to do. Okay, because the idea that, you know, people think that the president doesn't have to follow the orders of a judge is baloney. It's baloney, okay? President does not have the right to ignore that, all right? He can fight it in the courts, but if he says he's putting a stop to it, then that's it. You got to put a stop to it. But if the court doesn't enforce that, then it's just words, you know? So you got to enforce it. You got to fucking enforce it. And that's why you know, if the time ever comes when a judge decides he wants to enforce things in the way that he would do that to you or I, okay, that's when, you know, everything comes to a head. When you got the civilian law enforcement knocking on the door of the government, okay, that's when things are going to come to a head, because then what's Trump going to do? Is he going to send the military, declare martial law? You know, wouldn't that be like the shot heard around the world? I think it would just be at the beginning of what people are predicting is going to happen, because at some point the two worlds are going to collide in this government, with the civilian world versus the government world, okay? Because at some point something's got to be done. Nobody can just sit idle here on this. Our representatives can't be pretending that things aren't as bad as they seem, because they are. They got a lot of people in this country worried to death here about what's going on. And the message is coming across loud and clear at the town hall meetings and the rallies that AOC and Bernie Sanders have been putting on in their Fight the Oligarch tour. They're getting a lot of fucking people. Their anger is being heard. And these two people here are making it known that, hey, America is not behind Trump. As much as Marjorie Taylor Greene and Pam Bondi want to think, the American people are not behind Trump here on this. His approval numbers are lower than snake piss right now, okay? And they're still dropping, believe it or not. So the majority of the population is not behind Trump. It never really was to begin with, but it's even worse now, because with the numbers being as low as they are, that means there's Republicans now that are turning on Trump. There's MAGA out there turning on Trump. So with this happening and this big fucking tidal wave heading for the White House, what do you think's going to happen? You know, if he intends to finish his time in the White House, there's only one way he's going to be able to do that. Okay? Unfortunately, I think you know what I'm talking about, because nothing short of that is going to keep him from, you know, being taken out or you know, impeached or whatever. Okay? Nothing short of that, because he's created so much of a fucking problem already in just what, two and a half months. We still got till December here yet, you know, and you know, I hate to think what's coming. He's only got about half of his Project 2025 shit already implemented. Do we want to wait and see what the rest of it's going to be like, you know? Really? I don't know about you guys, but hey, I don't like to see, you know, my status in this world here diminished because of some jackoff that wants to take money of mine to give to somebody I don't even know, who's already got more money than 500,000 people like me. Okay? That's not right. Why should I just hand that over to them? Okay? Why? If anything, these people owe me, because they ain't been paying their fucking taxes. They owe you, because they avoided paying taxes. All, you know, for you people out there on Medicaid, welfare, all that stuff, they still owe you fucking money that they haven't given you. They still owe you. But, oh, they're not going to talk about that. It's all about you owing me. You got to owe me, you know. No. We gave the 1% a bailout, okay, under George W. Bush. You know what I'm talking about, okay? It was against the will of the whole fucking country. When people found out that they had given that fucking bailout overnight, okay, the next morning people found out about that, this country was a fucking, you know, a nightmare. People were so pissed because they went ahead and did it behind the backs of everybody who said don't do it. Okay? No. And then we find out, what did they do with all that money they got from the bailout? The banks, you know. Oh, they gave the top CEOs big bonuses. And they made record profits that year. People, you know, it's laughable that the wealthy are out there acting like, oh, we're poor. We need help. We can't pay these taxes. You know what? You guys don't know what poverty is. You guys never had to worry about your taxes because you got lawyers to block you from ever having to pay it. Okay, and very, very few of you people actually answer to the IRS for that matter. Okay, so live a day in our shoes where we have to pay our taxes. Okay, and for a lot of us, we don't get any returns during the tax season. Okay, some of us even still owe, as a matter of fact. Are you going to bail them out? No, of course you're not. So why should we help you out? Really? You've been fucking us over for Christ, even before I was born, you've been fucking us over. That's all you guys do. You don't need our help. What you need is to cut back on your fucking spending. What you need is to gain more control over yourself and stop living, you know, in a sinfully disgusting way. Okay? Forget about the camel in the eye of a needle, okay? It's more like trying to put the moon through the eye of a needle with you guys. Jesus Christ. All right, that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. So subscribe, comment, share, and keep your ears open for health-related issues. And please try to treat each other in your neighborhood with some respect. Try to be helpful. You know, don't close yourself off. You might need these people someday, maybe someday soon, okay? So I will talk to you all later. Take care, everybody.